Welcome back. I'm Dr. Cheek and I'm a licensed clinical psychologist. And today we're going to talk a little bit about what does it mean to be dependent on another person. We are existing right now in a world that, due to technology, due to different things around us, due to automation and other things, we sometimes feel like we don't need to rely on others, or we can do things independent of others. And if we do need someone or have to depend on someone, then somehow it's unhealthy. Somehow it represents a codependent relationship. However, we as a human species do rely on one another to continue to thrive and exist in this world. Therefore, there is a healthy way for us to depend on one another and it not be codependent. And today we're going to talk about how do you healthily depend on someone else or others in this current environment, and what does it look like to be dependent on someone in a healthy way and not feel codependent or not feel like you are creating a codependent relationship or a codependent dynamic. Now, first we need to define codependence versus interdependence. And codependent, actually, let's start with interdependent first. Interdependent is defined as the state of being mutually dependent on one another, while codependent is defined as a psychological condition or a relationship in which one person is manifesting lower self-esteem or lower self-worth and a desire for approval has an unhealthy attachment to another controlling or manipulative person. In a broader context, codependency simply means a dependency on the needs of or to be controlled by another person. Now, I have a slight disagreement with the APA's definition of codependence. Now, they have two different definitions for codependence. One is similar to the one I just mentioned, but they also define codependence as a mutual dependence on one another, and it gives an example of being in a relationship and having an emotional dependence on one another. Now, on the one hand, I can logically see how this definition may apply to codependence in a logical, broader sense, in that when you have a codependent relationship, it's still a one-sided relationship, but both partners are getting a specific need met. So you have what is considered the sick partner, or the one who is the help-seeking partner. So the one that always needs some level of assistance, always needs to be taken care of. And on the other hand, you also have the partner who is the savior, who is the helper, who is the caretaker. So in this context, the APA definition makes sense logically because there is a mutual dependence on one another. But what is missing out of this definition is that it's an unhealthy mutual dependence on one another. It is still a one-sided relationship, but both partners are getting a need met in an unhealthy way. And I think inherently it may sound like that mutual dependence can be a healthy thing as far as they are defining codependence in this particular definition. But codependence as a definition, codependence as a defining engagement in psychological relationships or engagement in relationships in general, has always been an unhealthy dynamic between one person who takes on the caregiver or the savior role and another person who takes on the help-seeking or the helpless role or the sick role in a relationship. And that's still the case. That's what defines codependence from interdependence. Interdependence is that mutual state of depending on one another in a healthy way, while codependence is an unhealthy dependence on the approval or the need for another person in a relationship. So there is a desire to take care of the needs of or be controlled by another person. So those are the two definitions. So how does codependence and interdependence differ? They differ in many ways. So in one way that codependence differs from interdependence is that codependence is an unhealthy reliance of one relationship partner on another. And in interdependence, it is a balance between dependency on one another. And interdependence, there is a give-take relationship in that each partner plays that role of giver, each partner plays a role of taker, depending on what's needed in the relationship. In codependence, there is a give-take relationship, but there is always one person who plays the giver role while the other relationship partner is primarily seen in the taker's role. Also, another difference is that codependence sees independence of a relationship partner within the relationship as a threat. They see it as a threat to the relationship or the safety or security of the relationship. In an interdependent relationship, they see independence of a relationship partner as a necessity for both the relationship partner and the relationship itself. And another way that they differ is that in codependent relationships, one partner's mood, emotions, or decisions are solely based on the mood, emotions, and decisions of the other partner in the relationship. While in an interdependent relationship, there is an understanding that self-satisfaction, that personal growth is based on your own individual pursuits, while also understanding how those individual pursuits benefits or affects the actual relationship as well. And the last difference is in a codependent relationship, there are controlling and caretaking behaviors that are present. And there is also a desire to control or manage the needs and desires of one relationship partner. While in an interdependent relationship, there is an awareness of individual level and relationship level responsibilities. And that's interchangeable between relationship partners. And there's also a healthy attachment to one another. Those are the differences between codependent and interdependent relationships. Now, there may be some subtle signs of codependence in your actual relationship. So what are some subtle signs of codependence in your relationship? Those subtle signs may be things such as one partner always needing to cancel or make changes to their existing plans to accommodate or fit the desires of another relationship partner. And there's an expectation that that one partner will always make the accommodations or fit the other partner into existing or forego existing plans to meet the needs of that other partner. There may also be a lack of desire or not wanting to find interests or hobbies outside of the relationship or outside of the interests and hobbies of one relationship partner. There may be an intertwining of hobbies or interests, and that seems to only revolve around one relationship partner. And you no longer take the opportunity to find the things that you're interested in yourself. You no longer find hobbies that you're interested in yourself. You are solely focused and dedicated to whatever interests and hobbies that your one partner has. Also, there is an over-reliance of one relationship partner to make sure all of your individual needs and the relationship needs are being met by this one relationship partner. It's not a mutual process. It's not a mutual engagement. One relationship partner makes sure that all the needs and desires of the other relationship partner and the relationship in general are addressed and met. And lastly, there is an expectation that the relationship partner that plays the savior or the helper role is always aware of the needs and the desires of the other relationship partner that plays maybe the helpless or the sick role. And there is a feeling of being let down or disappointed if the relationship partner who takes on the caretaker role or the savior role is not always aware of the relationship needs or the expectations or the disappointment in one partner, even if that need or that disappointment has not been verbalized or expressed in any way. So what I hope you take from this video today is that we can and we should be reliant on one another. You can depend on those around you to be helpful, to be supportive, to be there when you need them. And you should want to have people in your circle, in your environment, who are able to be dependent upon. And you can have a healthy dependence on one another, but that requires a mutual understanding between the two relationship partners. That doesn't mean that one person always plays the helper role or the caretaker role, while the other person always takes on a more helpless role or the sick role within the relationship and always needing to be taken care of. That is what's considered a codependent relationship. In healthy relationships or in healthy relationship dynamics, there's an interdependence on one another where we are mutually able to depend on one another, and we trust that even in individual spaces, each other are making the best decisions for ourselves as well as the best decision for the relationship as a whole. Independence is not seen as a threat. There is not a desire to engulf yourself in one person's interests and hobbies. You still see yourself as being able to be an individual within the relationship with your own interests and hobbies, with your own personal goals and personal things that you're working towards to better yourself, but you also are able to see, and your relationship partner is able to see, that those things that you're doing to grow yourself personally is also beneficial to the relationship, and it's not seen as a hindrance or a hindrance to the relationship that allows the relationship to move forward. We can be reliant on one another. We as human beings are reliant on one another. We are social creatures, and we thrive in environments where we are able to engage with one another in a healthy way, and we're able to have people that we can depend on and that can support us. You needing help, you having to ask for help, you needing to depend on another person or actually seek help from another person does not make you codependent. You being in a relationship where you are always in the help seeking role, while your relationship partner is always in the caretaking role, or majority of the time in the caretaking role, is what makes a relationship codependent, and that in and of itself is an unhealthy relationship dynamic. So I want us to be able to be in a space where we know that we can depend on each other in a healthy way. And that's what it means to be interdependent of one another. And we can also be dependent on one another in very unhealthy ways. And that's typically a one-sided relationship with one person playing the caretaker, helper, or savior role, while the other person is playing the helpless, the sick, or the care needing role. Please know the difference in the relationships that you have around you, whether that's a romantic relationship or any interpersonal relationship you are existing in today. Know the roles that you're playing in that relationship, and if it's interdependent or codependent. As always, I hope you take something from this video today that was helpful, that was informative, that helps you moving forward in this mental health journey or whatever life journey that you're on. Please feel free to jot down any thoughts, questions, or comments you have below. I thank you for taking the time to listen, and I'll be seeing you again very soon. Thank you.